or Tuesday night, excuse me, I tried to stay on the issue that I had brought the month before. And, you know, this is something that's not resolved. And the prior show to mine, they picked up on it, which is fine. And so I always say the material that I gather is there for everybody to see and use. And the whole purpose of doing Inside Insight is to inform the public of what's happening to them, what government is doing. And so, you know, when the superintendent, and I'll quote from today's paper, "We look forward to continue improvements in internal and external communications." Well, this is where the communications happen. You know, I look at it and say that when I talk to these reporters down there, Channel 5 was there, and of course the Pioneer Press was there, they don't have the inside perspective. They can report what the system shares with them because they have not, they're young, they don't have the background, they haven't been in the system, they haven't watched the system for 20 years, 30 years, like your host has. So they're dependent on being the press secretary for government, for the school district. This show, on the other hand, we're inside. We have the information. When the superintendent says, well, you know, people didn't get to stay home and get paid, I said, no, superintendent, I talked to those people. I called them. They were at home. They had the day off. They weren't at work. You know, so, you know, the teachers, first day, fine. School parking lots weren't plowed out. Sidewalks weren't plowed off. Buildings weren't ready. But that second day, sure, maybe look at it as a safety issue. Have the children stay home. Sidewalks aren't shoveled. They can slide into the street. It's cold. The buses get stuck. Maybe the buses don't come on time and way below zero. The kids it was a bad environment. But staff could have come in. The teachers could have had some quiet time, which I know they appreciate. When the students aren't there, they can do their lesson plans, they can go through their grades, they can organize their room. There's all kinds of things. Same way with custodial, same way with building maintenance. So, yeah, you know, that makes me, brings to mind the thing about the stadium roof collapsing. And so I forget how many, what the figure was 4, it was like having, the weight of the snow was like having 4 jet airplane, jumbo jet 747s on the roof. I just wonder, I was thinking about that and said, you know, when you have that much weight pushing down, wouldn't you put that much more pressure inside the building? Wouldn't you raise the air pressure in there to hold that roof up so that it wouldn't cave down? And, you know, the pressure is on the inside and the outside becomes equal, but if you don't increase that pressure on the inside, of course it's going to cave through. So I hope, besides all their other problems, I haven't heard it unless it's been there and I haven't seen it, but I would think that somebody hadn't done their homework and somebody needs to be held accountable. Anyway, they're saying that we're ready to play last night's comments at the school board, and then we're going to play, if they can find it, some of the superintendent's comments, and I'll expand on some of this stuff. All right, go ahead. This is Tuesday night St. Paul School Board meeting. Good evening, Board,
Evening.
Superintendent, staff. I'm Bob Zick, citizen advocate and 28-year district employee. I spoke to you at your last board meeting, November 16th, because I know the administration is selective in what they share with the board, and I have prepared a package for each of you with a copy of a lawsuit by a teacher, a notice of intent to retire and why by another teacher, and a copy of a DVD explaining what is going on in St. Paul Public Schools and which was aired on public TV in St. Paul. When you look through the material I gave you, it will explain how the administration has created a hostile work environment and is destroying the morale in our schools. The administration has decided not to allow teachers to use their professional knowledge to teach, to decide how to best reach each student's potential. The administration has decided that every student will arrive at the state-mandated K-12 required outcome with one and only one teaching method. The professional teachers who do not capitulate are subjectively put on an individual teaching improvement plan, which then is being misused to terminate teachers through firing or the threat of firing and a loss of their teaching license. To understand what is going on here and what the superintendent and administration plan is, just look at page 76 in your board packet. And it's on the agenda here under old business, second reading policy 602 and second reading policy 403. You need to recall how the past superintendent wanted the school board to give her plenary power over all. On page 76, look at the language changes the administration is asking you to make. I quote, "The board delegates to the superintendent and his or her designee the task of establishing accountability systems at all levels of the organization." It goes on to change the verbiage which says the district depends on staff to say the district staff will. Then it says administration will, and then in coded language, terminate those who do not prescribe. Page 71 of your package has more changes called instructional practices. I am telling the board, for the sake of the students and for the teachers, you better table these changes that the administration wants until you find out what really is going on around here. Teachers' national board certification has become meaningless and been replaced by a strategy of now having all robo-teachers. I've done my homework. Now it's time for the board to do theirs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your packet as well.
Those were my comments last night, and they're going to see if they, we ran out of time again tonight. Things just, I mean, it's hard to put everything together for this show. We have a whole section on, of course, Maplewood coming up. I was at the Monday night Maplewood City Council meeting. There's another expensive operation. So with what we were talking about there, it's, you know, I mentioned about this national board certification. St. Paul used to boast about St. Paul schools, about all the national board certified teachers they had, and that process was, I'm trying to remember what the cost was, $1,500, $2,000 for each teacher, and they had it took them a couple years, a lot of work, mentoring involved, and it was to raise them to the next level. And so you have that, and of course for doing that, for putting in that effort, the teachers for I don't know, the next 5 years would receive an additional, I think it was $2,000 in salary. And so the district desired that the teachers rose to that additional standard, additional level. And they obviously, when you look at the way they structured their salaries over there for teachers and their tenure and their seniority, that they valued experience and additional education. And remember, I always used to say when you put your child in school, you should go in and say, well, let's see, you have 2 third-grade classes, and one is a brand new teacher making $35,000 a year, and one is a 20-year teacher with a master's plus 60, or a PhD making $70,000 a year. I want my child in the classroom with the senior teacher. Well, those days seems like they have gone away. The district was negotiated these kind of pay steps and lanes that paid additional for additional education, additional years of service. They acknowledged that with experience came a better teacher. Well, what's going on now? They want, and I use the word robo-teachers, and we have a spot on there where the superintendent mimicked that robo word. She said, we don't want robo-teachers, that's not our goal. But then she turns around and talks about the fact that she wants all schools the same. So the students, if they're moving from the east side to the west side, or from the north to the south in the city, that all teachers will be teaching the same. They'll be at the same place at the same time. Well, doesn't that sound like robo-teaching? Doesn't that sound like the district has decided what teaching strategy is going to be used, and the professional teacher that under Public Employees Labor Relation Act says that teachers are professional, and as professionals, they have the discretionary knowledge and ability to decide which works best in their classroom, given a certain student body, given a makeup of a certain group of students, certain individuals, that not one cookie cutter will fit all. So the issue here is that the district has, from the information that was provided to me, or that we came by, says that that's not what they're doing, and they've now decided that let's find a way to get rid of the teachers that are the senior teachers that will be mentoring the young teachers, and we'll do it through a devious means of fear of being fired, or actually being fired. And so rather than go to the teachers and say, all right, we want to change our cost structure around here. You know, a lot of corporations will do this. They'll give buyouts. They'll give some kind of incentive to have a senior employee leave, just based on they want to reduce staff. And you know, when enrollment goes down, they close buildings and reduce staff. Yet yesterday,